You go to the hospital, and what you find is shocking. You find that the person who's dying is 40 years old. She's dying of metastatic breast cancer. She's got 3 young children and a young husband. And now you go ahead and start drafting the will for her, and you learn from her that for a year and a half, she had been complaining of a breast lump that she went to her gynecologist for. And the doctor kept blowing her off, nicely though, saying, listen, don't worry, it's a cyst, nothing to worry about, it's happening during your period. Come back, we'll check it every 6 months and see how you're doing for your routine GYN checkups. And that's what she did. She relied on her doctor. So what happened? Well, over time, before the next 6-month checkup, that lump diminished, and she forgot about it. And on the next visit, the doctor also forgot about it. And on the follow-up 6 months after that, forgot about it. Until, suddenly, a year and a half later, that lump regrew in the same exact place. And now all of a sudden the doctor's frantic, sends the patient for a sonogram, a mammogram, a referral to a breast surgeon for a biopsy, and lo and behold, this woman has metastatic advanced breast cancer and is now dying. And here you are going in to do a last will and testament for this young woman. And you get the clear sense that something may have been done wrong, a failure to recognize or a failure to act to investigate what this particular thing was. What do you do now? Whether you handle bankruptcy or compliance or securities, what do you do? How about this scenario? Let's say you handle labor law, and you get a call from a client, former client, who tells you, listen, my dad fell out of bed, he hit his head, he actually had lung cancer, went to the hospital to get treated, he was getting chemotherapy, and he hit his head, suffered a bleed in his brain known as a subdural hematoma. And as a result of that, he died 3 weeks later. What do you do as that labor law attorney with a former client who comes to you and says, I need help? Well, there are a couple things I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes that's going to show you exactly what you need to know in order to begin the evaluation process to talk and determine whether or not there may be a viable case here. How about this scenario? You handle business transaction disputes, or maybe transactional cases. And now you learn that one of your clients tells you about his mom who went in for a hernia repair. And during the course of a hernia repair, the doctors there injured the bowel. And during the course of that hernia repair, nobody recognized that the bowel had become injured. And 2 or 3 days later, his mom got worse and worse and worse, and ultimately died. Nobody knew why, until an autopsy was done. And during the course of that autopsy, it was revealed that there was an injury in the bowel, and the contents of the bowel were coming out into the abdominal cavity, where it should not have been, causing a massive infection known as sepsis. And because the sepsis, this massive infection, was not diagnosed and treated, this woman ultimately lost her kidney function, she lost all of her organs, and ultimately died. So what do you do in that scenario? How can you help this particular client? You're an attorney, right? You're trying to help these people solve their legal problems. And I don't care what area of law you practice. The most important thing for you to know as an attorney where somebody comes to you with a legal problem is, how can I help them? So let's jump right into it and talk about what is medical malpractice. Well, medical malpractice is medical carelessness, medical negligence, the carelessness of a medical professional. We say that if there's medical malpractice, that there are departures from good and accepted medical care. Okay, fair enough. Well, what elements do we need in order to make out a prima facie case? Well, I'll give you the simple answer. The simple answer is we need to show liability, causation, and damages. Well, if it were that simple, it would be a lot easier to handle these malpractice cases. But let me go through with you and explain what it is that we need to do in order to evaluate, and something that you will need to keep in mind as you talk to these people who have these compelling problems. So I'm going to give you a key question that I ask every single caller who calls my office. And this will help you dramatically, because if you make the mistake of asking your potential client, tell me what happened, they are going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour verbalizing and giving you a straight narrative that's going to go all over the map. and it won't help you identify the key issues you're looking for. Remember when you're studying for the bar exam, you have issue finding and fact finding? You're going to be doing the same exact thing when you evaluate whether or not somebody might have a case.